Very proud to be so. We've got a fabulous team, and over the last 12 months we've worked extremely hard to understand exactly what the Green Deal is, where eco comes in, and ultimately how we can engage that. Now, we started quite a long time ago in regards to the issues and the problems with the Green Deal. And what I'm trying to do realistically is, with this presentation, is to show you our thinking, which then will understand our model, and then in effect how potentially we actually can deliver what we deliver and how it's of value to you all. So let's crack on. Okay, firstly, a bit of a roadmap. This is ultimately what you see in regards to the Green Deal. Customer, huge, customer is king. That is vital. At the moment, what we see with our sort of contacts in the industry is it's being forgotten, even at such an early stage. But we'll park that, we'll come back to it. The advisor or the assessor, also other ultimate points in the actual plan. These guys need to know what they're doing, how they do it, and get it right first time. You've got a Green Deal advisory organisation. Now that business interfaces with a Green Deal advisor. So if you're an installer or you employ advisors, they still have to lodge that report with the Green Deal advisory organisation. Vitally important you understand that, because the specific gaps in this model, if you're not aware of it, such as your installer, you're potentially going to lose your work. Then we have the provider. There's 55 providers on the org at this point in time. It's a great place to be, and it's the worst place to be, purely because there's so many things that can go wrong within the Green Deal. If you're the provider and you get it wrong, you're going to have a lot of problems on your hands, and that's going to come from everywhere. We hopefully can try to alleviate that, and we really place the Elite Network at the central point where it can be used by not only ourselves as a provider, but other providers as well. And also the installers. Now the installer, again, lots of installers. Engaging the Green Deal is not easy. It's very difficult for a number of reasons, and again I'll explain as we go forward. Okay, the customer. Let's get back to the customer, which is the key thing. This is how we see the customer engaging. The moment the customer is being told to go to a provider, the provider potentially is the person that is totally responsible for a Green Deal plan. Now, in likelihood, from our research and the people we talk to weekly, the touch points from a customer is going to be driven from each of those items. They may well be asking for a Green Deal or access to eco through one of those points. And it's how then that's actually treated by that type of person or organisation, which is in effect then starting the customer experience. At the moment, what we've all actually sort of transpired with in the past sort of 6 to 12 months is bad press on the Green Deal. And it's because ultimately it's not been properly managed. We know that. We've been to DEC ourselves, we're involved with GemServe. I spoke at Westminster a couple of weeks ago. Great background to how the market's looking at where it all is. It will pass. The Green Deal, we are extremely passionate about. We believe in it and we know why. But ultimately, if this is handled wrongly at this point in time, the education and the awareness from a customer could turn them off. At this point in time, you've got many people engaging customers to do eco work. Up till Christmas, everyone was Green Deal, and after that, literally people's eyes were focused on eco. And at the moment, the Green Deal is being left wanting. Now, we feel from our research and sort of our feedback that what you have is you have people at the moment putting the Green Deal to one side, especially providers, because they're focusing on making money now. Again, I'm all for making money, but there's a way to do it. And ultimately, eco and Green Deal work, and they work best if they're blended together. What we have is, again, a customer-driven model. Now, depending on where you sit within the previous slide, these are the kind of questions that, again, are the things that you're going to be aware of, what you're going to think about. And these are important because, as I say, working with the customer, taking them through the process properly to ensure it's done and it's complied with at the start of the engagement is important. We're a Green Deal advisory organisation, as in the Elite Network. That means we deal with advisors. We train advisors, we know how they work, we know the deficiencies in the training at this point in time. At this point in time, there's a lot of new advisors that know how to physically fill paperwork in. They don't know all the extra little bits and pieces that they need to know to do the job properly, to advise properly. So what you have at this point in time is thousands of potential people wanting to get involved in the Green Deal. The key attribute to this is the advice that's being given from an advisor. That's what everyone's counting upon. The customer's buying into that, the installers are going to quote upon it, the providers are going to deliver it. So it's understanding the processes and getting involved and delivering the right information. We believe with the model we've created with the network, we can help each one of those potential parties. And it's because of the structure of our model and how we've engaged each level of business. And really, we've really tested this week on week for the past 7 to 9 months within the training courses. And 90% of the people that have been through as training advisors have been installers. So we've managed to be able to get a real good look and a good focus on what they're interested in, delivering, how they deliver, the issues and the problems. Okay, as I said, getting to advisors. 90% of the people that we've now taken on in the Elite Network to deliver the actual Green Deal plans have been people we've trained. So we know, as I say, who they are, what they are. The best ones we have taken on, the other ones we haven't. Not cut out for everybody. 10% of what we've taken on recently are people that are now looking at our model, they like it, they believe in it, and they want to come and work with us. We are not advisors ourselves, we are not installers ourselves, we are a means and a way to help deliver the Green Deal. This is an important factor. The importance of having these people trained properly is important, and I cannot stress that enough. Going forward into the Green Deal, understanding the role of that advisor is vital, because as I say, they will only be as good as the training courses that are out there. EDI training courses, City and Guilds training courses, they get you to be a Green Deal advisor. But what they don't tell you are all the key things that are actually quite important. It's like passing the test when you drive a car. You can drive, but you can't really drive. It's that kind of process. Give it a bit of time, it'll get better. The program we've created with Elite means we know where the gaps are, the deficiencies, and we have an education program where we hope that will potentially fulfill it and be of use to many people. If you're an installer, past 2030 now, past 2030 is the quality management system that an installer must work through to get the tick with installer. Now, past 2030 is on the individual business. It's not on the individual, i.e. like the advisor is. So if you're employing advisors, it's on him. If you now become a Green Deal installer, it's upon that individual business. Now, because we know it well, we have, as you'd expect, a package to take people to become a Green Deal installer. We also know the deficiencies there. The problem is quite vast. It's based upon, in 12 months' time, after that company has passed to be a Green Deal installer, in 12 months' time, 1% of their work is going to be audited. Now, if any of you was involved in solar over the past 12, 18 months, when it all happened and prices shot up, new companies were coming and going within 12 months and making a fortune, people, unfortunately, i.e. the customer, got ripped off. Now, past 2030 potentially is exactly the same. All it is another quality management system that runs a business to ensure it gets a tick. The problem is it's not tight enough, and it means ultimately we have people at points in time that have approached us as people training past 2030 installers, where we train them for 27 measures, a provider. And then a month later, they wanted all 27 measures again, put under a new business name. Now, the problem with installers and potentially the method of subculture for, or the culture of subcontracting for an installer is usually the brand at the front gets the work. So in this instance here, the main contractor. After that, that main contractor then has a set of subcontractors that deliver the work. He may have a certain capacity himself, but he will probably need, because of the demand, more people. It's that control which is lacking at this point in time. Purely because if we go down a number of, and I think there's a number of segments for the delivery, what happens is, main contractor gets a job, he gets a headline price, he's now going to carve a margin out of that for himself to pass it on. That subcontractor may also do the same, carry on to the point the guy who actually does the work will probably be paid the least and have problems. And it all features back, all the way back up the chain. The only key item that the company giving the work out, the main contractor has to be, is responsible for it. Now, should they not be there, again, customer wants it, and that's what we don't want to happen. Now, what we do have is a system within, I'm not going to get there yet because I'm going to jump over my slides. The Green Deal, what makes a good Green Deal? Again, that's quite important. Eliminate risk for each party, and that is down to your customer, your advisor, because they're in a position where if they get it wrong, they've got a problem at some point in time. Maybe not now, maybe in 12 months when what they've said was going to happen isn't going to happen. Your installer. your green deal advisory organisation, your provider, and potentially the financiers, and also the energy company, depending on how the work has actually been done. So the quality of ICE installation is important. The protection is vital, and we've got a method as to how we do that. But getting the customer to buy in is vital if the green deal is going to succeed. Now, we don't want it not to succeed because it's a great business. We've spent a lot of money and a lot of time and effort to get as far as we have. And it's only because we've took the decision we have very, very early to get as far as we have, to get as home as we have. If you was a sane business, you would not be investing in the green deal at this point in time because it's not proven. A lot of companies have, but there's still thousands which have not. So what's going to happen is there will be an avalanche. Same as what happened in solar when the feeding frenzy started. People needed kit, they needed stock. They need to be qualified, and it came and it abused the system, and it will damage it for the long term. The plans the government have put in place to reach, for example, a 23% by like 20, forget my dates now, it's 5,500 properties per day, 7 days a week for the next 7 years. And that's a huge amount of properties to actually deal with. So the delivery mechanism behind the Green Deal is actually quite important. We're a very small company. We'll never be a huge company. We will have a small membership, well managed, well delivered, and hopefully that we then live up to the elite brand. But the customer, the protection, the customer has to buy in. And we believe we have a win-win for each party, which should hopefully deliver that as a brand, which is the consumer champion, which is what we're aiming for. Okay, to Elite Network, quickly we get into this and we'll get some questions in due course. It grew out of renewables. I was asked to head up a company that had a £200 million fund to do free solar just before it all went pop and Lombard pulled out. But I built a business then which was a good quality renewable business for some investors. Later on, got to a point where I didn't quite like what was happening in the business and didn't see the visibility of where it was going to go. The Green Deal was coming and I had a better idea. So typically, being the kind of gentleman I am, I wanted to have a go. So my co-directors, Lisa and Cara, we set it up 12 months ago, 3 of us. Today, there are 25 of us. In 6 months' time, there'll be double that, and in 12 months' time, there'll be double that. And it's only because we are wanting to deliver at a range, at a stage, which is quality. But we are growing because of the Green Deal. We're passionate about that, and that's vitally important, and it's something that we try to bring in. Our culture is there for a reason. We're not there to rip anyone off. We're not there to do anything dishonest. What we're there to do is provide a local delivery service nationwide based upon local assessors, local installers, and help them gain and bring work to the Green Deal. Okay, the position of the network is important for you to understand. Again, depending on where you're sat, and I didn't do this at the start, and I was going to guys to see who's in the audience. Don't obviously know any of you guys that are actually here, but maybe a show of hands. Do we have anyone here for example, social landlords? Can I have a show of hands if there's anyone here? Okay, a couple of these guys. Okay. Anyone from the council? Okay. Anyone that wants to be a Green Deal advisor? And anyone that is, and I can see one there because we trained her. Oh, quite a few, well done. Okay. General agents, letting agents? None of them. Okay, we'll leave them alone. Okay. The way you guys now will engage the Green Deal, going back to my original model, is you will find your own business, you'll have your own needs. If you're a councillor, for example, you are going to be looked to because people are going to trust you. So who you deal with and how you recommend them, and obviously the bureaucracy and the procurement process, very difficult. There's money there. We're talking to a number of councillors who have got properties that they want to spend eco money on, but they can't get through the red tape to get to the people that they want to deal with and do it efficiently. Now, we have a chap, he's involved with Stoke-on-Trent Council, he's a practicing cabinet member. We've actually brought him in specifically to deal with councils, community organisations. He knows the issues and the problems and the workarounds, as it were, to be able to deliver this. And we have a fabulous programme for community organisations and councils where we can help train locally, your own staff, or locally, and then installers locally, again, to regenerate that community and population to keep it local. That's the key thing for us, is honesty and openness. Ultimately, installers, vital part to this, and they, at this point in time, in due course, will be thousands of them. But controlling the delivery of that and bringing them on is important. We went through the past 20, 30 ourselves to see the process. It's actually very easy to pass it but not actually know what you're doing. So within our take-home processes, there's a lot of things that we'll ask and we look for before we take you on, before we allow you to get into a customer's property. And then after that, we police it very much on an ongoing basis. If you're a provider, now again, the network, although we are a provider ourselves, it's a delivery mechanism, so we can guarantee to the population that we're dealing with certain things. But if you are a provider looking for quality, consistency, compliance from the people that you're actually looking to deliver, we can help you do that. So we're positioning ourselves to be at a central point where you might use us as a stopgap, you might use us as an overflow, and vice versa. Working at a provider level to provider level, we can help each other out. So again, there's many ways that we can engage and we can really fit people into the system. And then ultimately, elite partners, we've had some fabulous feedback today and yesterday from people who want to see what we are trying to do, how we can help them. Very interesting how we can engage people in regards to merchants and products and people who want to bring things into the Green Deal. In essence, we aim to have in the region of 300 assessors, advisors in the next 6 to 12 months, and potentially 500 to 1,000 installers that are physically working and being engaged consistently and allowing them to bring work and take work from the network in a monitored fashion. If you're an energy company, the big fear of an energy company at this point in time is compliance. It's actually ensuring the job is done well. So they don't want thousands of properties. What they're actually looking for at this point in time is smaller batches of property, but properly well managed. Now, we're not the answer for everybody. Not everyone will like what we're doing, and there'll be many other ways to take this to market. However, there will be a select number of people, X, whatever, that will buy into what we're trying to do, and we work closely with them to develop the opportunities, the positions that they're actually in, and make it a win-win. It's a long-term business as we see this, and that's ultimately where we want to be for the long term. Ultimately, that's what we do. That's what we can protect. That's what we can work towards. And it's vital that we do that, and we can enhance the past 2030 system to ensure that, in effect, everyone is protected. Okay, the elite brand is culture. We base on 3 things: trust, transparency, and honesty, from top to bottom. To the point where our advisors now are being paid exactly what the customer pays for the survey, to keep it as low as we possibly can. Installers, we will not mark your prices up for the purpose of your quotations. The customer will be charged a fair fee, as a provider should charge for his services, not try to beat the installer into a position where he makes as much money as he possibly can on the back of that installer. I don't think that's fair. More importantly, if it's been driven from an installer, the likelihood is that installer has possibly already discussed the price with the individual, especially if they've also done the advice on the initial side from the assessment point of view. The chances are they've discussed the price. So if we're then putting a price in that's then hundreds of pounds more, it doesn't look good for us. And potentially the customer's being told to go to a provider, and they will get multiple quotations. Therefore, we lose business, install these businesses, and we don't ultimately deliver. The model that we've created for an advisor is very, very important. It allows us to deliver locally. An advisor is the key point. By placing advisors nationally and putting around them a series of installers, what you have is you have a ready-made system where an advisor can deal with a local installer and vice versa. What we're able to do then is control the quality locally. Our business development manager's then task is to ensure that the package we put in place for an advisor and installer is unmatched, and I'll tell you why very shortly. Ultimately, as I say, we train 90% of the advisors. In essence, an advisor is dealing directly with a customer. We very quickly can ascertain where a customer is. If there's a local assessor, and our system, our CRM system, will appoint a local assessor. Local assessor deals quickly with the individual customer. Customer is dealt with within 3 days. Reports fed back. Advisor paid within 7 days. Nice and neat. Advice report comes in. It's then either dealt with ourselves as a provider, or it's passed to one of the complicit providers that we've actually worked with, and we're happy with as well. Either way, the customer's dealt with and we move on. The complex nature of the report is vital, because if we don't deliver the extra information that these guys need at that point in time, we're going to lose the inquiry level. The gap is when that customer has that survey, who do they ask for a quotation? Because by law, the advisor is supposedly saying to these guys, if they're doing the job properly, this is an independent, portable survey. You can now approach any provider. The likelihood is that's going to be delivered to a Green Deal advisory organisation, who's then going to give it to the best provider that's going to pay the most money. The provider's still going to have to contact and deliver. Installers take on much more stringent. We don't know these installers. There's many more things that can go wrong. So we require copies of the certificates, liabilities and insurances, which we will check and verify. Every one of these people are underwritten by the insurance company. So if that company isn't there in time to come, the customer is not going to be left wanting. They'll supply us 10 previous invoices for customers we can talk and we can speak to. We have 10 specific questions, which are questions we've researched which are important to customers. I.e., what we're trying to create is word of mouth marketing. The customer buys into it, they're going to tell their friends. They're going to tell their friends. Vitally important. But the reason we do this, you've all used eBay. You must have used eBay. Number of purchases, percentage score. The better the percentage score, the number of sales, the better the individual, i.e. you've got more confidence in them. We're trying to create a system here where a customer, and the mantra really is, you're only as good as your last job. And every time we physically deliver a job with a customer, for either ourselves as a provider or another, our operatives will call the customer asking them the same 10 questions. So what you get is you get initially 10, and hopefully 100%. Likely it probably won't be, it might be 95, 96, 97. Each job, 11, and there's an aggregate score then that's tied into the system that continually monitors their percentage. The reason why it's important is because if you eventually, let's say 6-8 months down the line, as a customer, pump in the actual elite reference number for the installer, you can see exactly who you're dealing with. You can see the quality of their score over a whole host of jobs. So if you've got a guy that's got 99.2% from 1,000 jobs, you can be pretty sure that you're going to be pretty happy with his work. Quite important. Ultimately, what we've then got is a policing system, which is where it really comes in and gets busy. At the moment, past 2030 is a nightmare for any size of installer, especially if you're a medium to small one, because it's a paperwork trail. Installation up till Christmas hasn't been regulated. That's why they've kicked up so much of a fuss. They've now got to regulate it. This is the way to regulate it past 2030. The application that we're building now ties into our customer relationship management system. So when we issue initially an advice report request to a surveyor, they put that in. The customer knows exactly who they're going to deal with before they get there. Same with an installer. We have a safe word system to ensure that the people that we're sending out is the people that people are expecting. But ultimately, by utilising this application, an installer can help deliver the past 2030 compliance. Every individual piece of work that installer does, well, I'm going to flick forward 1 second. Every individual piece of work that installer does as part of the network is monitored. As I mentioned, PAS 1%, Elite Network 100%. Our process is based around utilising the application to capture at key stages the work that's being done and ensure that compliance is put into place. And that's vitally important. And our first tier is our inspectors checking visually the paperwork, to some extent, not at all, but more importantly, it's escalated. And we're talking to NIC, NAPIC, Corgi, BBA, to physically provide a second tier auditing process. So should they then require to go on site, we've got another means to check the job is installed properly. Now, you've got a professional check, then you've got the customer side. Both are vitally important for providers we feel comfortable with who they're delivering. Back to the advisor very quickly. The customer experience, delivering it, streamlining the process. This application helps that. As I mentioned first, there is a gap in knowledge. The application on the iPad, Android, tablet, whatever, will allow that advisor to flick to the relevant section in the knowledge that they haven't got and help deliver that to the customer. Again, to provide a better customer experience. So, getting to the point where we're nearly finished. Okay, so past 2030, 1%, elite 100% consistently. We're not leaving 12 months between this. It's too big a gap, too big a risk. Our model is scalable to any size. So if you are a council, if you're a community group, if you're a social landlord, you've got many properties, what we can do is we can deliver to any scale, any area, anywhere, by utilising the independent nature of each of these individual installers that we're taking on and we're taking through the system. Eliminating risk is vital for everybody, and protection is vitally important, which is hopefully what we stand to be. This came in last week. We were certified, we were trademarked. Again, we started this about 4 or 5 months ago. Very important for us to protect our brand because that is the key differentiator of going forward into the marketplace. So we're going to protect that and we're going to build it and we're going to be very, very careful of how people use it. However, it's a statement as well. The next one we're going to go for is a certification mark. That's your corgi mark, your kite mark. And that is a totally unique perspective on the Green Deal and eco. It's a means and a way for people to have absolute confidence in our processes and policies and procedures and stand behind that. And we feel very proud of it. But ultimately, as I say, it's very much down to providing something of value. Our membership benefit from it, our partners, and our customers, which is really where we want to be at the end of the day. Questions now, if I can answer them, I will do. We've got our team at the back, and in effect, those are the people. If you're sat in on any of those areas and you have any pertinent questions that I don't have time to answer now, by all means, we'd love to see you and have a chat with you. You've all got on your table, on your chairs, a bit of information about us and a feedback form. Feel free to fill it in, drop it off if you haven't got any time. Can we have the roving mic, please? Right, any questions, first of all? Anyone that comes to mind? Good gentleman over there, would you like to sit over there, please?
Hi, thanks. I'm just trying to understand your business model. You said that you don't have a markup on the, I'm a Green Deal advisor, you don't have a markup on the advice cost, and you don't have a markup on the installation. So I'm just wondering where you get the money to run your organisation and make your profit. Are you actually a Green Deal provider yourself?
We
registered?
Are a Green Deal assessor, a Green Deal advisory organisation.
Right.
We are a Green Deal installer. However, we've gone through that for the purpose of understanding the processes. And if we use any people to deliver, because we are talking to certain large organisations now to be their delivery mechanism, we will only use past 2030 accredited companies to do that. A provider, we should be on the Green Deal Org next week. We would
right, so you're not a registered provider yet?
No, Secretary of State, it's at that point in time. We should have been on this week, but unfortunately with the way and the speed that debt work in the Secretary of State, it's not quite there yet. But that is all done by the shout.
So if a customer is referred to an advisor and installer, but then goes to a different Green Deal provider, you don't actually make any money from it?
We do, because at this point in time, as I say, Green Deal is new. What we're trying to do is very large in regards to the scale, and it's got to be balanced with the number of assessors. We've got 65 assessors in the field at this point in time. We've got over another 200 that are coming through the process. Installers, we've got 200 that are going through compliance at this point in time. We make our money on the installer. So we will charge that installer a fee to quote upon that job, and that's where we in effect make our margin. And from a provider perspective, ultimately then there'll be a margin in there. But at this point in time, in effect, there's many people in the Green Deal getting ready to deliver. But it's really the calm before the storm. There is 9,000 assessments been done. Being a GDA, you'll probably know that last month. There's been very few plans written. Green Deal Finance only opened recently. Again, 3-6 months' time, end of the year, you'll find it will start to flow through. Okay, any other questions? No takers? Oh, we have one here. Please. Could you say your name and your business, please?
Yeah, Paul Connor from Tudor Northwest, which is an electrical mechanical installation company. So the question is, what's the time scale on taking a company like ours through this elite network to be able to allow us to install Green Deal?
Well, if you're a past 2030 or need to get the certified 6 first of all, you have to buy a quality management system, and the number available. We have one, there are others obviously. Part of that is then you need to be certified by a certification company like NIC, BBA, NAPA, whatever.
We are.
Okay? You're then ultimately going to be on the Green Deal Org at some point in time. Now, it's down to how quickly you can firstly comprehend the management system, put it into your business, depending on the size of your business, how you then look to physically deliver that, and then book your actual assessment. At the moment, you're looking between 2 weeks and 8 weeks, depending on the type of measure that you're actually looking to deliver. Because every individual measure is individually audited. So you'll have an office audit, and then you'll have your per measure, which is your type of work. I would say on average you're looking at probably under 2 months, given you started, you understand that you've got your appointment. It can be done quicker.
I take it there's a cost.
There is a cost. They start from $395 for 4 measures. There's different models available, but come to the back of the stand and we'll go over that with you, and we'll show you how it can work. And there's a demonstration of our past system if you'd like to have a look at that as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Gentleman behind? Two gentlemen there? A lady there?
It's Richard Pearce from Low Carbon Lib. We're a local community group. Just wondering how you might be able to work with us. We're working on one of these Green Deal Pioneer Places project. So we've done a lot of Green Deal assessments.
Okay.
Really at the next stage.
Okay. Well, I need to understand more about your business, but we can help you. Chat Mark Meredith, and we've got Craig here, any of the providers, two key people that you can speak to. So you can see now, okay? Well, you've already spoken to Craig then. Don't forget it. So, again, I'm not maybe the person to answer that, but these guys can. So that lady, question there?
From Almost Energy. Just a quick question. Once you've got your provider status next week, will you be accepting Green Deal advice reports from other Green Deal advice organisations, or is it going to be solely within the elite network?
There's two elements to that, because the elite network controls the processes behind that. However, in effect, if you're talking to us as a provider, our business model differs there as well, because we will deal with other Green Deal advisory organisations. All we have to do is have a complicit process where we feel comfortable, and that would stand for any individual provider. So the answer is basically yes. Okay, any others? Maybe we've time for one more, then we've gone from there. Okay, I think we're done. Ladies and gentlemen, I do thank you for your time. Very important messages that hopefully I've delivered, and hopefully that's provoked a little bit of thought. It's now time for you guys to act. It's time now to deliver. We can do our part in a very small way, but hopefully you can do your part. Thank you very much for your time.